So let's start the session. A very good morning to all of you present here. I, Dr. Dimpi Sachar, on behalf of Banarsidas Chandiwala Institute of Professional Studies, extend you all a very warm welcome to this online guest lecture on science, technology, and environment, status and challenges for a sustainable future, with the aim of enlightening our students with the contemporary topics concerning environmental issues. We used to invite environmentalists and professionals having enriched experience. So today, I would like to introduce Professor Nc Gupta Sir, Director Research and Consultancy. He is former Dean and working as Professor with the University School of Environment Management. Sir has obtained his MPhil and PhD in Energy and Environment System from JNU, New Delhi. Sir is one of the founder members of University School of Environment Management, Center for Disaster Management Studies. He was postdoctoral fellow project scientist with the Energy and Biomass Conversion Laboratory of the Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT Delhi, and researcher with the Radio and Atmospheric Science Division of National Physical Laboratory, Delhi. He has more than 28 He has more than 28 years of research experience, out of which 22 years of teaching experience to MSc EM, MSc NRM, BTech, MTech, Chemical Technology, MBA Disaster Management, and PhD courses. He was instrumental in setting up of major laboratories in the University School of Environment Management. He has instructed wide variety of courses which includes energy, environment and technology, air pollution and health, climate change, carbon management, disaster management, and risk analysis. He has supervised over a dozen doctoral theses and more than 150 dissertations, including MSc, BTech, MTech, MBA in the area of energy, environmental pollution, climate change, and disaster management. He has carried out consultancy assignments for NTPC, IPGCL power plants, Larsen and Toubro, National Mission and Bamboo application, and major research projects of UGC. Sir was training and placement in charge and coordinator of the school over a decade. He has delivered several lectures and chaired sessions on energy, air pollution, climate change, environment protection, and on pollution control. And on environmental control throughout India and abroad. He has published more than 100 research papers in international journals and national journals of repute. He is member of various DST committees on International Multilateral Relations Committee, member of Executive Council and Board of Studies of several state and central universities. He is editorial board member of international peer-reviewed journals and is reviewer for several high-impact reputed international journals. We welcome you, sir. I would now invite Professor Nc Gupta Sir to take over the session. Sir, over to you, sir.
Okay, just I am sharing my PPTs. Can you see is my PPTs are visible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
And
ठीक है,
my
sir.
slides visible to
Yes,
all
sir,
of
it
you?
is visible, sir.
Okay, so thank you very much, Dr. Dimpi Sachar, for inviting me in this lecture, which is basically organized by Eco Club of BCIPS.
Thank you.
The basically the talk of today's session, today's lecture is science, technology, and environment, and how this, the status challenges for sustainable future. So with this, I start my talk. When you talk about the energy is the golden thread, and that connects economic growth. If this also increase social equity and an environment that allows the world to thrive. It was said earlier by the Ban Ki-moon, who was the earlier General Secretary of United Nations. Now, when you talk about the energy access, and nearly on this planet, 1 in 5 on this planet lacks access to electricity, as per the World Bank data of 2016, and nearly 12% of the world population does not have access to electricity. For India, it was 16%. And almost 3 billion people, means 300 crores people out of 700 crore rely on the wood, coal, charcoal, or animal waste for cooking and heating world over. If you see the African countries, people do not have the gas, they do not have the LPG, and they do not have the piped natural gas, and they basically their cooking is done on this basically earlier methods of wood, coal, and charcoal, or animal waste like cow dung and buffalo dung and other agriculture waste. And this is a major barrier to eradicate poverty from the world over and building shared prosperity in the world. And when you talk about the climate change, energy and climate change are basically interrelated, because energy is one of the biggest polluter of the environment. Energy is responsible for the large quantity of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. And when you talk about the climate change, where modern energy services are plentiful, the problem is basically of waste and pollution. And anthropogenic emissions are contributing to climate change. And this has impacts on the lives, on the communities, on the infrastructure, and on the institutions and budgets. And climate change impacts, they impact the poor first. And if you see this, limiting climate change will require sustained and substantial reductions in greenhouse gas emissions world over. And you see the total anthropogenic greenhouse gas emissions have continued to increase over 1970 to 2010. This highest in human history was in 2000, between these 10 years in 2000 to 2010. And CO2 emissions from fossil fuel combustion and industrial processes, they contributed about 78% of the total greenhouse gas emissions increase from 1970 to 2010. And about half of the cumulative anthropogenic CO2 emissions between 1750 and 2010 have occurred in the last 40 years. And in wasteland scenario, if you see, direct CO2 emissions from the energy supply sector are projected to triple by 2050 compared to 2010, unless energy intensity improvements are accelerated. And you see this, because these emissions will make triple by 2050. Then what will happen to the planet? Already the temperature of the globe is already increased by 1.5 degree, and in Paris Agreement we want to limit it, not more than in this century 2 degrees Celsius. So basically we have to basically opt for reduction of greenhouse gases, and to opt for efficient sources of energy, and particularly renewable sources of energy we have to shift. And what are the sustainability challenges with technology? If you see the energy use worldwide, until we experience a prolonged power shortage, Most of us take the availability of electricity as granted and do not think about how dependent we are on the energy today. And most of the world's energy comes from the fossil fuels like coal, petroleum products, or natural gas. And this includes this all. And the next most common source of energy is hydropower, which is only 6.2% of the total energy supply in the globe. And while it is considered clean and renewable, it is also criticized for affecting the natural habitats in the forested areas, in the hilly areas. And if you see the energy used worldwide, hydropower is 6.2% contribution, nuclear 5.7, and natural gas 25% is increasing day by day. And coal 27.9%, around 28%, it's decreasing because coal is basically is not a very clean source of energy. Petroleum products are also increasing 32%, 0.8, and clean renewable solar energy, wind energy, geothermal, biofuel, and 1.9%. India is leading basically in the renewable source of energy to reduce emissions. And with this, if you talk about the depletion of natural capital over the time, the reserves of coal, the reserves of petroleum, the reserves of natural gas, the reserves of iron, metal, other metals are decreasing over the time. And like natural other resources like fresh water is also decreasing over time. So fresh water resources are being consumed by agriculture, by industry, and for domestic use. You see in Punjab how the farmers are misusing, or farmers are overusing the basically the water extraction from the groundwater, because electricity is almost free. So see, more than one people on the world, on the globe, they basically they lack the access to clean water. Out of 700 crores, one you can say 100 crores people are not having access to clean water. They are basically drinking the dirty water. And the demand for new land, at the same time fuel and raw materials for manufacturing, from product making, resulting in deforestation, the conversion of forest land to the non-forest land, and degradation of semi-arid land is resulting in the expansion of desert and land and becomes unusable for the agriculture. And you see the global warming and climate is climate change one of the biggest challenges we are facing, the mankind is facing in the history. And climate change kills around 30,000 people per year, mostly in the developing country. You see in developing countries, Bangladesh, India, like Myanmar, Indonesia, these East Asian countries where the basically the harsh events, the tropical events like cyclones, and they come, and particularly the coastal area people, they suffer the most. And the majority of these deaths basically are attributed to the crop failure sometime, because the over rain or the drought conditions, and this leading to the malnutrition among children, and hydrometeorological disasters like flood, cyclones, and droughts basically every year we see in our coastal area in India. And the basic environmental challenges, if you see from the global warming, how they will affect how the effects of climate change will be there on us, on the natural system, on the ecology, on the environment, on the coastal areas, on the Arctic, Antarctic. So melting ice and rising sea levels, we already seeing the sea level is rising. Only our cities like Kolkata and Mumbai, Chennai, we are the coastal cities except Delhi. Out of four metropolis, uh, if you leave Delhi, all these three cities basically will face the challenges of sea level rise in future in the coming 50 years. So flooding and spread of disease, we already seen the flooding. Many, like we've seen the Hyderabad flooding, we have seen the Chennai flood, and Hyderabad. We have already seen that last year. The water even entered the Tirupati temple, and the threat of species extinction, the polar bear, polar bear already basically facing the extinction, and their extreme weather conditions, bird over there are increasing, their forest fires are increasing. You have seen the forest fires in India, with nearly Uttarakhand also facing some forest, and forest fire basically it is a very big challenge for ecology and environment. And at the same time, the one of the biggest environmental challenges is also the pollution of land. So land pollution is one of the also biggest the basically environmental challenge. And you see the 30% of the world's surface is land and 70% is water. And this 30% of the land provides soil to grow the food for us. And increasingly humans are polluting the land with solid waste, with nuclear waste, and with pesticides. You see, in 2011, there was a report that 1,280 sites are waste sites because where they cannot be habited because of these, well, like nuclear waste, other solid waste, other toxic waste sites known as superfund sites, because that require a lot of money to basically to do the bioremediation for these sites. And other the sustainability challenges are the chemicals in the environment, the carcinogenicity, and the health problems which we face because of the chemicals and carcinogenic problems. About 3 million tons of toxic chemicals are released into the environment each and every year. 3 million tons world over. And chemicals in the environment enter our bodies through food, through water. We consume the food. Already know the food, how the food is, like the vegetables are grown on the bank of river Yamuna, where the water of the Yamuna is so much polluted, and these all chemicals are entering into the food chain in our vegetables, and we are consuming. And water, basically, which you are drawing from the Yamuna and you are treating, but still many heavy metals, many other pesticides, they still remain in the water which we consume. The air we breathe is already polluted, in particularly when November, December, January, February, for 4 months, when the beginning of the travel November, how the air of Delhi is polluted. We have already seen how the air quality index behaves in winter, the air we breathe, and the substances with which we come in contact. And the 12th report of carcinogens lists 240 chemical substances that are known to be human carcinogens, or reasonably you can see anticipated to be human carcinogens. You see these chemicals, carcinogens, and health problems are one of the biggest environmental problems, the environmental challenges we face, the sustainability challenges we face today. If you see this mother put sunscreen on her child to protect against sunburn. But sunscreen, like other personal care products, may contain harmful chemicals. Many harmful substances are there, which basically this lady is putting on her child. And this may contain many harmful products, many harmful substances. So we have to be very careful when we are overusing the personal care products. And you see this on the terms of the chemicals, carcinogens, and health problems. Many personal care products, they contain chemicals with known or suspected adverse health effects, which we are not knowing. We have to explore that how these chemicals, carcinogens, they cause the health problems to us. And the environmental challenges, basically this is a threat to the biodiversity. See, the ecosystems are the complex and dynamic relationships between forms of life and the environment they inhabit. And over the last 50 years, humans have altered the ecosystem. They have changed, they have modified the ecosystem more rapidly and extensively than in any other comparable period of time in this human history. So there are an estimated 8.7 million species of life on Earth, as estimated. And some scientists believe the number is much more, from 8.7 million species. And out of these, 1.3 millions of species have been named and catalogued. And this enormous diversity of life or biodiversity, this provides the food for us. This provides medicine for us. This provides fiber for us. This provides fuel for us. And they also purify this, life of plant or animal. They purify the air and fresh water. And they pollinate crops, and vegetation, and makes our soil with humus, with their litter, with their leaves, they makes the soil fertile for us. And these chemicals, carcinogens, and health problems, they create the threat. the species worldwide. If you see the number of threatened species in 2011, mammals were, more than 1,134 species of mammals. They were facing the, threat, of extinction, and birds, more than 1,250 species are facing the extinction, and amphibians are also more than 1,900, reptiles more than 600, and fish, bony particularly more than 1,800, and invertebrates like insects, snails, mollusks, they are facing a problem of extinction. They are basically threatened to live on this earth. And plants, more than 9,000 species of plants, basically they are facing extinction. They may slowly disappear on this planet. And other fungi, lichens, and brown algae, and the total more than 16,000 is, species of plants and animals. They are threatened species, and these include classified as critically endangered species and vulnerable species. As per the report of IUCN, this is International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN. And on the other parameter, when you talk about air quality and health, we see the transportation, we see the fuel combustion, we see the industrial processes and burning of coal and processing minerals from mining and solid waste disposal have contributed to the growing levels of air pollutants. And this growing level of air pollutants, including like carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, arsenic, nitrogen dioxide, mercury, dioxins, and lead. And air pollution, which is linked to heart disease also, and lung cancer, emphysema, chronic bronchitis, and asthma, kills about 3 billion people every year, or 0.3 crores people on the year, every year. And significant population in the world lives in areas where they are exposed to unhealthy levels of air pollution. In Delhi, 4 months literally, from November, December, January, February, we live, we are exposed in Delhi to unhealthy, quality of air we breathe. And there are evidence over the years that air pollution APs major risk to health, and substantial new evidence showing that particles smaller than 2.5 micron penetrate deep into the lungs and affect the body more systematically, leading to diseases like stroke, heart disease, in addition to the cancer, COPD, and pneumonia, including upper respiratory tract infection, URTI. And you see the particle size around 10 micron, they are coarse particles. You have 2.5 micron, they are fine particles, and less than 1 micron are ultra fine particles. They are harmful to the air. If you see these particles, less than 1, this 0.5 to micron, they are entering into the lungs and alveoli. And lung, basically the main entry point of the air pollutants, and the target organ is the alveolus. And we see there are 300 million pulmonary alveoli in human lungs, and we basically breathe around 15,000 of liters of air every year, every day. Every day we, adult, breathe around 15,000 liters of air. That means comes around 15 meter cube of air we breathe. That means 15 meter cube of air is processed by our lungs. So in 15 meter cube of air, whatever the pollutants are there in the environment, they all are deposited in our lungs. And the increase in the concentration of pollutants cause parallel increase in the toxic deposition in the lungs, and from the alveolus, pollutant travel via lymph or blood or to the different organs of the body. So meaning is that when we inhale, we breathe the polluted air. This polluted air basically is loaded with the particulate matter like PM 2.5, PM 10, and particulate matter is also basically loaded because benzene, pyrobenzene, other toxic gases, they are also condensed on the particulate matter, and when we inhale these particulate matter, they are basically lost in our lungs, and they reach our lungs. Then with them These all harmful substances like benzene, toluene, and pyrobenzene, and other heavy metals like mercury and other lead, they also enter our body. They enter our body, they are basically, they enter to the lungs, and from lungs they are exchanged through this alveoli, and from the alveoli they are basically circulated in the blood, and from the blood they reach to the different organs like liver, kidney, and they affect the all vital organs of our body. And lungs exposed to the outdoor and indoor air pollution, you can see, because they can, how they look like when they are exposed to the higher level of air pollution. Now, air pollution, already we know this shortened lifespan in South Asia. In South Asian countries like India, China, Indonesia, Sri Lanka, there is, there was a report that lifespan is reduced because of the air pollution. The high level of pollution has shortened average lifespan by 2.5 years in India, and exposure to indoor-outdoor air pollution contributed to over 1.2 million deaths in India in 2017, as per the report of higher as high this higher educational institute report. And each year more people globally die from air pollution related diseases than from the road traffic incidents. And malaria, you see, air pollution is third highest cause of death among all the health risks in India. And overall, long-term exposure to outdoor and indoor air pollution contributed to nearly 5 million deaths due to the stroke. Basically, this is, the cardiac arrest or diabetes, heart attack, and lung cancer and chronic lung diseases in 2017. And out of 5 million, 3 million deaths were directly attributed to the PM 2.5 level, and half of which were from India and China only, world over, if you see the figure. And household LPG, liquid petroleum gas, escalated Bharat stage norm 6 by Government of India, tighter norms for the for the two-wheeler and four-wheelers, and clean air program have the potential as a part of sustained commitment to air quality and resilient health for our countrymen. And report from this HEI Health Effects Institute highlights 3.6 billion people were exposed to household air pollution in 2017 globally. And you see the worldwide, this non-communicable diseases are the main cause of death, and projected this like this main causes of death worldwide, like total deaths in 2005 were 58 billion. Out of this, 30% because of the cardiac related, and 13% were cancer, and 7% are respiratory diseases, and 2% on a diabetic, and chronic disease 9%, and injuries because of fatal accident other 9%. So either 2 and 3 are from the non-communicable disease, means cardiovascular disease, cancer, chronic respiratory, diabetes, injuries, and basically these diabetes, chronic cancer, and these all are because of the these are because of the pollution related diseases. And International Association for Research on Cancer, they already said that diesel is a carcinogen, and the air we breathe is laced with cancer causing substances and is being officially classified as carcinogenic to humans. And the World Health Organization's Cancer Agency has already reported this. And indoor emissions, if you see the outdoor emissions, indoor emissions, outdoor emissions, then this basically evidence base is stronger than their evidence that base is stronger than other approaches, and implementation practicality via design, production standards, and some options like clean fuels are relatively independent of user behavior. So you can see this, this household, how much this is polluted because of the, indoor air, and leave the indoor air. Even the outdoor air in this, this Himalayan, town is not clean. So outdoor air is also polluted. Indoor air is also polluted. So there are options basically for new air quality guidelines. Use efficient cook stoves, don't use kerosene, don't use coal, and basically for the particularly for the cooking, and use clean fuels like LPG, biogas, ethanol in a household, particularly in villages, rural areas. And these basically options like improved cook stove, biomass cook stoves, LPG and natural gas and solar kitchen are coming to reduce the pollution from the reduce the indoor air pollution. And like you see, Western countries, the integration of housing services, schools, and recreation reduces travel and promotes active travel. And land use planning is one of the most effective measures to promote physical activity and reduce pollution. Schools within walking distance to homes reduce CO2 emissions, can reduce by 12%, sinking business home distance by 20%. This already it basically research in the Santiago in Chile. So your offices, your schools, there should be a policy like a school should not be much far away uh, from the school, from the house should not be far away from the school, so that children can walk. Like if you see in East Asian countries like Japan and Korea, the children they generally walk for the school and they enjoy walking. But in India, even this school transport has become business. If one reported school is having a 50, 60 buses, so this as they're doing the business of transport business, and they are doing business of buses business. So with this, at the same time they congest the road, they congest the city, they congest the uh, basically uh, the crowd, they make the crowded places, and at the same time the physical activity also reduce for the children, and at the same time they also emit a lot of pollution. So now integration of land use and transport will define the shape of an urban growth. And as energy obese or trim, in 2018 I was in Switzerland, and I saw the school children. Either the children were going to school by walking, they were walking in morning, you can see the streets crowded with children, and or they were using bicycle. But I didn't saw Rapperswil near Zurich any school bus. The children were transported in a school bus, because this basically this reduces the physical activity of the students, and that's why the obesity in the children is found in the cities. So basically integration land use and transport will decide the shape of the city, the urban growth, as their people are energy obese or energy trim. So when you are doing the physical exercises, everything, you will become the energy trim. And when you are not walking, you are using public transport, you are using scooter, vehicles, motorized transport, then you will be like the United States, which in the suburban USA area is energy obese. So if you see the geometry of the housing densities, transport energy, like medium density European cities, achieve largest energy efficiency gains in the comparison to North America. If you see the North America, like Atlanta, you see per capita energy consumption on transport is more than 1 lakh, more than 10 million megajoule per person. And Houston, Atlanta, you see, while in Chennai, in Jakarta, in Asian cities, it is less than 10,000 uh, megajoule per person. And see the care of Hong Kong, Taiwan, Seoul, you can see this, Tokyo even, and even Madras, Chennai, the basically energy efficient transport is there, but not in United States per capita, because the basically the from the offices, from the houses so much far that everybody use their car to, and everybody travel around 100 kilometer you know to and fro in a city. So you see the US cities, like so much, they're polluting cities that are consuming so much of energy. But if you see these, cities basically, Australian cities are also consuming a lot of, energy. But if you see this, uh, Middle East, Eastern European cities, they are basically quite energy efficient. And Chinese cities are also energy efficient. Asian cities are also energy efficient in that way. So we need basically in future this sustainable transport, and this sustainable transport will keep the health of our novels of our children, you know with a lot of health benefits fit. So this will also reduce the air pollution, and this will increase the physical activity in children, and this will reduce the traffic injury at the same time, and this will also reduce the urban road parking and green spaces. Basically, you see most of the the vehicle parked in markets, in when you visit markets in evening, the most of the cars and vehicles are parked even in you know on the pedestrian places. So even in green spaces, free urban road, we have to make the urban road free, and this facilitates more equitable access to mobility. More equitable access to mobility, the mobility for the children, the mobility for the elderly people, because when this rowdy with vehicles, even you occupy the space for of pedestrians, and this create a problem for elderly women and elderly and elderly persons, and particularly children. So this to ease the movements of the elderly, children, and disabled women, disabled persons and women, and this promotes social cohesion in the local communities also. And when you talk about the sustainable development goals, and which is a universal agenda, like goal, there are 17, goal basically, and we have to achieve these goals by 2030, but we are having only 8 years in downline. So can we, in these 8 years, can we, and will be able to achieve these sustainable development goals, SDGs, like goal 1, end poverty in all forms everywhere by 2030, to end the poverty from bird over, and end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture, and ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all age groups, and ensure goal number 4, the ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all, and goal 5, achieve gender equality, men and women, and empower all women and girls by 2030, and ensure the basically availability and sustainable management of water and sustain sanitation for all, and ensure access to the affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, and to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all, and to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation, and reduce inequality within and among countries, and make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. As goal number 12, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. And goal number 13, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts on humans. So we have to this combat climate change, we have to control the greenhouse gases. And like goal 14 says that conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development and for sustainable future also. We should not overuse the oceans and seas and marine resources. And we have to protect, in goal number 15, restore and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem, sustainably manage forest, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation, and halt this biodiversity loss. The biodiversity law, many species are on the verge of extinction. You see in the cities like Delhi, the sparrow you can hardly see. So they are also shifting their habitats. Their population is decreasing at the same time. And goal number 16, promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development, provide access to justice for all, and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. And goal number 17 is strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. Like if you see this, sustainable, how to achieve the sustainable goals, like sustainable goal 3 says that ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. So this ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. And by 2030, sustainability reduce the number of deaths and illnesses from hazardous chemicals like air, water, and soil pollution, from contamination, So this can be achieved by mortality rates attributed to household and ambient air pollution. This is a proposed indicator. And like if you see on the energy front, in goal number 7, we have to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, even for poor. So by 2030, we have to ensure universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services. And this percentage of population with primary reliance on clean fuels and technologies at the household level. And if you see sustainable cities, we have to make the cities sustainable. How we can make it? Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Our Millennium City, Gurgaon. How? What will happen to the fate of a city after 20, 30 years? In the last 20 years, we have seen a lot of crowdiness in the cities. So this Millennium City, how the city is becoming, where in which direction city is going. By 2030, reduce the average per capita environmental impact of cities, including by paying special attention to air quality, municipal, and waste management. Waste management is very, very important aspect because waste per capita generation of waste is increasing as the prosperity is increasing. Per capita waste, is around currently is around half a kilogram per person. So if we will not take immediate actions, I tell you in coming years our road streets will be dirty because of solid waste management. You have already seen in Jahangirpur, you have already seen in this near Anand Vihar bus terminal, this uh, solid waste management site there. You will find the mountains of garbage. Are there many accidents also took place in that Gazipur landfill site. You see now, you see the communicating synergies. See this physical activity. This granddaughter is with the grandmother, and daughter is driving this you know bicycle. So this enhances the social capital among the communities, and increasing the physical activity also, and this also reducing the obesity, and at the same time this also reduces the air pollution and cardiovascular disease and depression. This also decrease, and traffic injury also, because there are less motorized transport, then there are less traffic injuries, and this increases social capital, means the cohesion among the family members in a community. And basically for the resilient health from air pollution reduction, their transport, energy, land use pattern, and policies and combustion, this all because when you reduce the air pollution, or that you will get the resilient health when you reduce the air pollution. Like if the air pollution reduced from Delhi almost in winter month, then city will be very good, very nice to live. So there will be less air pollution. That means less injuries, less motorized transport, less air pollution, then less injuries, less number of accidents, more physical activity. So local short-term health impacts and air pollution will be reduced. Climate change, like short-lived climate pollutants will also decrease. Then climate change will also be controlled. Then climate change, because of CO2, will also reduce. So global long-term health impacts and benefits for climate also will increase. So a new resilient urban health climate approach is important, and this is important. This support adoption of policy choices, behaviors that mitigate air pollution, or that reduce the air pollution, or they reduce the climate pollutants like short-lived climate pollutants like CO2 and others, and they maximize the benefits of health benefits. And how to equip engage city actors in health planning development, like health knowledge interventions with greatest health benefits, tools for health assessment, strengthen this institutional and technical capacity, and framework of collaboration, monitoring and evaluation, and communication awareness is also very important. And the basically the how to respond to the sustainable challenges. What is the way forward? Way forward is basically go green, go for the the green energy. So increasing the use of green energy, renewable and non-polluting sources of energy can help alleviate environmental problems. And associated with fossil fuels, clean energy, green energy sources include solar energy, solar power, wind power, and hydrogen energy. Like green hydrogen, also the India is basically is I think by 2030 will start exporting the the hydrogen energy as per the government of India's mission. And biofuels derived from agriculture crops, two types of biofuels, ethanol, biodiesel can be important. So this ethanol and biodiesel we should promote. They will increase the income of the farmers. At the same time, ethanol will increase the basically decrease the dependence on the import of petroleum products from Gulf countries. So, like green energy, like wind energy, is harnessed by turbines such as those pictured in this photo of a wind farm we see in California. So this is green patches, and this on patches this in a on this mountain these wind turbines are mounted, which can generate power. And basically, if you see for the strategy for action, how to respond to the environmental challenges, you see the modification in a building, and this building was developed by a professor, you see, by the Adam Joseph Lewis Center for Environmental Studies on the Oberlin College campus. Is among the most environmentally friendly building in the world. And the building resulted from the vision of David or Professor of Environmental Studies as Oberlin. This building is completely self-sufficient and does not take electricity from anywhere, but all electricity is generated by the solar roof, from this building. And this all energy is used in this building. No fossil fuel use, no electricity requirement from grid. So basically, if you talk about the strategies for action, respond to the how to respond to for sustainable environmental challenges. So you require integrated approaches, which include science and which include technology, and you need international cooperation and assistance in some areas. And this is sustainable economic development approach you have to take. And the role of institutions like universities, colleges of higher learning is important. And there is understanding of the sustainability problems. Like as I discussed, the sustainability problems starting from chemicals, carcinogens, and their health effects, toxic materials in the environment. All we have to integrate. We have to understand all, like from air pollution to renewable energy, because everything is interlinked. From fossil energy to renewable energy, from personal care products to personal hygiene to cleanliness, and from chemicals of which are used in the agriculture sector, in the production of food, and in the production of other personal care products. So we have to understand the linkages in sustainability problems, because when you talk about the environment is just like a web, WEV. It's a web, so everything is interlinked. This the interaction between plants and humans, interaction with the plant, animals, soil, flora, fauna, water, everything is interlinked. So we have to understand, we cannot compartmentalize the environment. We cannot see the environment in a in a compartment manner. We have to integrate these all problems, for big amount of problems are interrelated, interlinked in that sense. So with this, a technological society has two options, choices. First, it can wait until catastrophic failures expose systemic deficiency, distortion, and self-deceptions. Second, a culture can provide social checks and balances to correct for systemic distortion prior to catastrophic failures. This was said by Mahatma Gandhi. And you see, the speed is not relevant. If we are moving in the wrong direction, when we are going, our direction is wrong, then it does not matter what is our speed, which that is irrelevant. So with this all, I conclude my talk here. So thank you very much for giving a patient learning.
Thank you so much, sir.
All students and faculty which are the part of this lecture today. I thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I would like to open the forum for question and answer session. If any student
Yes.
is having any question, they can put their query. They can ask their query from the sir. Anyone is having any question?
Good morning,
Yes,
sir.
you are welcome. All of you are welcome.
Yes,
students.
Tanishka. Please kindly put your question, beta.
Sir, my question is, what are the examples of eco-innovations that can significantly reduce the scale of environmental pollution and reduce greenhouse gas emission and slow down the faster global warming process?
See, eco innovation. See, are you from Punjab?
Yes, sir. Look, my parents are from Punjab, yes.
Yeah, like in our university, basically we have started the startups for eco innovation. Also, we fund the students if you come with any idea. See, eco innovation, like you see this, Punjab, Haryana, Western UP. You see this burning, biomass burning problem, agriculture residue burning problem is there in Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh. For last 4 5 years, this is starting from this after Diwali, like Diwali, after Diwali, it comes like this November has become a devil for us. It's a devil November, we call in environmental, scientist people, because Delhi comes with a lot of pollution, and it's very difficult to escape this city. How we can reduce air pollution, and this basically lot of contribution is there from the biomass burning in the surrounding areas. But if you can, and you this agriculture, around 300 million tons of this agricultural residues, particularly from rice crops is generated. This can you convert this in in some bioproducts, in some usable products, because this all recyclable material. Can you make some like a cardboards? Can you make some other materials which can be used, or can you make like paper from this, or can you make some reusable plates from these, or you can make some other products from this. This basically will become a bio innovation, because at the same time you will divert this, this all agricultural waste from burning to the usable products, and at the same time it will provide the employment. It will provide employment. It will provide the money for the farmers also. So such kind of there are many burning environmental problems. If you can solve these problems, then there will be $1 million benefits for humanity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Any other question from any student? Any other question? So I have one question, sir.
Sure. You're welcome.
So, how should the use of non-renewable natural resources be reduced so that the sustainable ecological development is possible, sir? Because still we are majorly dependent on the non-renewable resources.
Still we are depending on
Non-renewable resources.
yeah.
So how
Like
can the use of the non-renewable resources can be reduced?
Yeah, see, over the time we are already reducing. If you see, the power generation in India, we are currently having around 3 lakhs megawatt of power generation. And in the last few years, particularly in the last after this government, earlier, like when Manmohan Singh was the prime minister, our goal was 20,000 megawatt power generation from solar. And prime minister, current prime minister, he said he increased this 100 megawatt, 100 gigawatt. That means 1 lakh megawatt, from 20,000 megawatt to 1 lakh megawatt by solar energy. And in solar energy, I think you must be reading in newspaper that India is is one of the leading country in the on the front of renewable energy like solar energy and wind energy. We are one of the leading country, and power consumption is so much high because we have to provide the power for more than 1.25 billion people. Out of 1% live in India, so this demand is increasing so much. But we have to reduce the coal, the use of coal. We have to reduce, we have to shift from uh, from solid fuel to liquid fuel. We already shifted from liquid fuel to gaseous fuel, like from solid like coal to petroleum products like uh, gaseous energy sources like LPG and piped natural gas. And then we are like moving towards the solar energy and wind energy and geothermal energy and water power. But water power also, if you face the problems because in hilly areas you generate the hydroelectric power, and in the hilly areas the environment is so sensitive, is so fragile that sometimes you in some area you cannot increase the power production from hydropower. But still we are developing the hydropower. So slowly slowly we have to shift from non-renewable energy sources to renewable energy sources like solar, wind, biomass energy, because biomass is also renewable. You grow biomass, then you basically consume, then again you grow. So basically it takes CO2 from the atmosphere, and basically a sustainable cycle for that. So we are also moving in this direction, but at the it will take time. Like for example, this biomass, enormous biomass is farmers generate from paddy crops. Can this biomass used in the in the boiler of thermal power plants in the NTPC? Can we generate energy also from it? So work is going on from that direction also. But slowly we are, of course, by 2050, because, and in India by 2070 we have taken the time in Paris Agreement that by 2070 we have to become carbon neutral. I think you must be reading in newspaper that by 2070 we have to become carbon neutral. Means whatever the basically the carbon you are emitting into the environment, we have to absorb that carbon from the environment. So we have to become by 2070 carbon neutral. And this basically we are moving in this direction. We are basically reducing our dependence on renewable on non-renewable energy sources, fossil fuels, and we are basically moving towards the renewable sources of energy, renewable sources of power, slowly, and we will do this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Any other query? If any student
Yes,
is having,
ma'am, I have a question.
yes, Nali,
Yes,
kindly
ma'am,
put
I'm
your
having
question.
a question.
Yes,
Good
Sonali.
morning, sir. Sir, will segregation, recycling, and eco innovation solve the problem of growing rubbish dumps?
Pardon?
Will segregation, recycling, and eco innovation solve the problem of growing rubbish dumps?
Yeah, see, you have asked very good questions, Sonali. Solid waste management is one of the biggest problem. In I think in days to come, it will become more, more and more serious problem of solid waste management. When you talk about the segregation of solid waste management, solid waste, then segregation can provide you, many materials which can be recycled, like metals, aluminum, like metals like iron, aluminum, other metals you can segregate, which cannot burn in the boiler. And the other, biodegradable material you can degrade, and you can make the basically the fertilizer, biofertilizer out of it. You can make organic fertilizer out of it. And at the same time, you will also solve the problem of solid waste. It is very important because with prosperity, with earning capacity, when the earning capacity is increasing, the solid waste basically generation is also increasing. Because when middle class family or poor families or just middle class family, they don't use the that much of such kind of material which produce that much of waste. When you prosper, even food you order, when you order the food, you know uh, you know the I know the some outlets, when you order the food for a dinner, uh, how much basically this packaging is done on each and dal, and everything is packaged. So how much waste is generated? So that That strategy is very, very important. Otherwise, if you will not take heed to this problem in the beginning, we will not nip in the bud. Then in days to come, each and every street of our cities and villages will be dirty. I am telling you. So this very very important field for solid waste management, and I say that things should be recycled. They should be recycled. Then only we can reduce our dependence on virgin materials, on you know you can say the fresh, we can reduce the dependence on natural resources, and at the same time we can preserve our natural capital. Natural capital means this, reserves of iron, reserves of metals, reserves of aluminum, reserves of coal. This all has to be conserved.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for handling the queries of our students in such a very humble and patient manner. Now, on behalf of the entire institute, I would like to thank our respected resource person, Professor Nc Gupta Sir, for his gracious presence. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Sir for enlightening our students with his words of wisdom. I would also like to thank all the faculty members and students for their presence and for making this event a success. I hope it turned out to be a great learning experience for all of you. So thank you, everyone. I may formally now call off the event for the time being. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your presence, sir, and thank you for your such enlightening words, sir.
You are welcome, Dimpy. You are welcome. I am very pleased to interact with your students.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I may request all the students to kindly leave this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Can I leave?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay.
I'll be in touch with you, sir.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.